Do we want to do another one? Why not? Let's do another one. All right. The Hermit. Iconic. The Hermit. The Hermit. I haven't seen The Hermit in a little while. So this is, a Rider-Waite Hermit. And you know what? Hang on. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so I had to go get my yellow box. This is a pre-copyright. Pre-copyright Rider-Waite. The Rider, not even Rider-Waite. This is the Rider Tarot. This one right here. Let me see. This is printed in, I'm guessing, made in Switzerland. This is it U.S. Games, or is it still? I know, this is like really boring shit. Sorry guys. I'm gonna get to the point. This is not even U.S. Games. All right. No, it is U.S. Game System when they were in New York. All right. Now they're in Connecticut. Okay. Why did I have to go get this deck? Oh my god, it's a little creased. It's a little crumpled. Because with all the talk about ooh and ah and vintage and don't get me wrong, I love vintage. I live for vintage. If I have to choose between something current and there's a vintage version, I prefer a vintage aesthetic, or the vintage version, the vintage aesthetic. But I don't know. I thought it would be nice to talk a little bit about. So I got the Hermit from this deck, and I just wanted to point out something that. See, the Centennial, I still think the Centennial is the most beautiful of this deck, of the printing of this deck. And here is my pre-copyright. And I have to say, when I compare the two, and I just wanted to share this. When I compare, the Centennial has depth. That whole fake vintage look that they give to it gives the image depth. Whereas this guy's flat. Like, this is really two-dimensional. These are very flat images. And some of these are, quite sloppy. Although the Hermit looks really good in both decks. I just wanted to show you this. I don't know. Maybe at some point I'll get the top-down camera out and compare this one to the Centennial. I got this. There's a story. There's a video on my channel. I got this locally for $20 from someone with the pictorial hardback, or the pictorial key to the tarot. And I was told good luck. When I exchanged my $20 for the deck and the book. But anyway, I digress. Experiential meaning of the tarot. So this is my Morgan Greer. It looks pretty rough, but you could still see it quite well. And it's pretty much exactly the Rider Centennial. I'm confusing myself. Except there's a little more close up. Just like most of the images in the Morgan Greer, a little more close up, a little less, a little rounder, or a little more organic. The art's a little more organic. I don't know, is that even a word? Anyway, to describe this. Okay, the Hermit. I haven't seen the Hermit in a reading in a really long time. I think that's why I wanted to do this today. I haven't seen the Hermit in a reading in a really long time. Now, granted, I haven't read for anyone other than myself in almost a year. But I also haven't read for myself a lot. So that could be it. But still, it's like I had to look for it. For a second I thought, did I lose it? I haven't seen the Hermit in ages and ages and ages and ages. which could be a good thing. And I'm gonna go into my experiential meaning of the Hermit. But first, I have to share with you, oh my god, this is my favorite Hermit. You know, like Morgan Greer, that was my favorite Strength card. This is my favorite Hermit. Now, I haven't looked it up in a book or anything like that. And I haven't, I see Cerberus here, and it's like, this gives me like big Hades vibes. Big Hades, you know, patrolling the underworld, and this makes sense to me after most of my life reading tarot. This imagery is the one that makes the most sense to my experiential meaning of the Hermit. The Hermit comes up in readings for people and for myself during the dark night of the soul. It pops up just as the person is entering the dark night of the soul. It shows up in their reading while they're in the dark night of the soul. And it's a card that reminds us that we cannot rush the dark night of the soul. You have to make your trip down to the underworld, and you're gonna have to sit with it until you're done. This is a card that shows up when in a reading for someone who on the outside, externally, they got everything going for them. Lots of changes in their lives for the better. They're just out of a bad relationship. They're just out of a bad job. They're just out of a bad situation. And then this shows up. Just when they think that their life is starting anew, no. It's all these new things, the end, it's all these new things don't exist yet. Because everything I just described are endings. Endings of a bad relationship, endings of a bad situation, endings of a job, and endings. This shows up at endings. Typically, in the reading of someone who is approaching the end of a 7-year cycle. Typically, and it's so confusing to the person that's being read for, including myself when I've read for myself, but I first met this in my readings in the late 90s, where it was like big time Saturn. Big time Saturn. I was living my Saturn moment, and this always brings that to mind, because that's I learned the most about the Hermit when it was constantly in my reading, and I myself had just gone through a whole bunch of endings, and I felt energized and starting anew. But no, you just came out of all these endings, all these chapters closing, and no, we're not opening the book yet for a new chapter. You have to now traverse the dark night of the soul, and you have to, I know a lot of people see a staff. I see a freaking yardstick. I always interpret it as a yardstick, taking stock, measuring the amount of experience, measuring your experience, measuring the depth of the experience of what you just went through. It's examining each inch of these experiences or this past cycle. It's a review of growth. It's a review of how you've grown. It's a reflection of how you've grown. So for me, I always see a freaking yardstick. It's not graduated or anything like that. And this guy doesn't have a yardstick. This guy doesn't have a yardstick. But because of Cerberus and the strong Hades vibes, and there's like other stuff here too that I could talk about, but like I said in my previous video, I'm going to stick to this because it's an experiential series, that I'm going to stick with the deck I have the most experience with. The Hermit shows up when it looks like all systems are ready to go. All systems go. You're ready to move to a new city. You're ready to divest yourself of your past life. You're ready to let go of the past. It shows up to say, no. We have to review everything. We have to review all this. We have to analyze it. We have to review. And we have to make sure before you go forth to the next chapter that you truly understand what just went on. Otherwise, you're going to repeat it. It's the card that shows up for clarity. A moment of clarity where you spend some time contemplating what just happened, contemplating your life up until that point. That's the lamp. And it's a time of analysis and clarity. It's a time of seeking wise counsel. You're not the wise counsel, and sometimes it depends, right? You could be the wise counsel in your own reading, but usually this is you seeking wise counsel. When you're the Hermit, you're not the wise counselor. You're not the wise man, the wise woman, the wise person. When you're the Hermit, you have your yardstick and your lantern, and you gotta you're revisiting your own shit. It's also the card that shows up when someone's gone through something dramatic, like a divorce, or usually it's a divorce, ending of a friendship, ending of a relationship, ending of an era in your, like I said, like an era in your life or whatever, or maybe something more global, like something's changed politically where you are, but usually it's more very personal, and it's the card that says you need to look at this shit and the role that you played in it. So let me repeat that, because I think I skipped a sentence. The example I will give is the ending of a relationship, or the ending of any kind, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a long-time friendship, or maybe even a short-term friendship. This is a card that shows up that makes you have to own up. It's saying, okay, person, seeker, querent, I see you. Your marriage is over. I see you. Your friendship ended. I see you. Your job imploded. Your success just whatever. So, what role did you play in all this? This is the card that shows up to remind us that we are not what happened to us. We are what we choose to become. That's all I'm going to say for now, because I have a feeling that we're going to be revisiting this one later on. This was my experiential meaning of the tarot cards, the Hermit. Thank you for tuning in, and wishing you all a beautiful day.